Manchester United 0, Tottenham Hotspur 3. I'm joined by Stephen Howson, and I'm just going to start with the main talking point after that game. I don't know about you, and this is what I want you to tell me. That felt significant for Ten Hag, that game. Something about the performance, not just the result, but the way the players played and the way we were outfought and outthought in that game felt like a big moment for Man United.
Yeah, I agree. Can I just say as well, right? People are going to say, oh, defending Rashford again, right? I've seen a load of comments on my review, and at the time of Gary Neville saying it, I was like, so Gary Neville, if you didn't have the commentary on, Rashford loses the ball for Van de Ven to go on the attack, right? And he seems to just be kicking off that Rashford hasn't turned around and sprinted after him. They pass each other. If Rashford turns around and sprints after him, the replay would be showing Rashford 15, 20 yards behind him as he's crossing it. Like, I get chase after every ball. I get that early in the game. But being fucking real about it, it feels like such an like, there's, I don't know, 9 other fucking players on the pitch that could have just stopped him running in the straight line that he ran when he didn't even throw a shoulder in at any fucking point. Like, he literally just ran straight forward with it. Everyone was like, fucking hell, have I got to deal with that? And no one dealt with it. Now, Rashford, I thought, was poor today. But, like, let's talk about him being poor on the things he's meant to fucking do and not the things that was probably physically impossible for him to prevent.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of things that felt like United didn't do what they were supposed to do. From the first minute, I mean, obviously that was only the third minute when they scored, but from the first minute, it had that, like, Brentford last season, Brighton a couple of times feeling of, like, we aren't able to get past their press, and this is going to really hurt us today. Like,
Spurs press is the best in the league. Facts, like, data tells you Spurs press is the best press in the league. Now, I think if you watch all the games this weekend, fucking every goal came from pressing. Like, not just our game, like every goal in every game pretty much came from pressing. That's just how goals are getting scored a little bit nowadays. But yeah, we looked like we struggled early doors. I mean, Onana did try and go long a little bit with it to great failure when he was doing it. You just think, yeah, whatever.
What's happening? Because I've been quite, looking on the bright side. I feel like you have as well. We had that chat during Off the Bar the other day where we both looked at why this season isn't maybe as bad as it's looked on paper in terms of purely results. Today felt different to those results to me. Is it? Where do you think? Not necessarily your opinion of him, although I'd like that. Where do you think this leaves Ten Hag? Because it's all Ten Hag. Ten Hag is trending. He was trending after Liverpool won, let alone after we've just been battered at home by Tottenham. Where does this result leave Ten Hag, do you think?
The usual merchants will absolutely crank up the pressure on him. There'll be stories circulating that he's already gone this week, whether there's any truth to those or not. There'll be multiple reports about who United are being linked with.
Yeah.
And I say this for every manager we've sacked in the last decade, and there's been a couple. Who are you replacing him with? If you want him gone, you're entitled to that opinion. I personally don't. I think projects take a little bit longer. With the circumstances we found ourselves in, doesn't excuse today's performance. I think people misconstrue that. If I don't shout sack him now, I must have enjoyed losing 3-0 to Spurs. I think there's some people that, I don't know, maybe shouldn't have internet access until they get a fucking brain. But I think that's a lot of conflating that goes on when people just go, oh, you obviously enjoyed losing to Spurs, blah, blah, blah. But I think the project takes a little bit longer. I would have hoped to have seen better performance than we saw today. Yes, I completely agree with that. That doesn't mean sack everyone every time you don't get the performance that you was hoping to see. There's frustration. There's a little bit of hopelessness thinking, like, from pre-season, Joe, don't know how this team scores goals. Yet again, we've come away without scoring a goal. Didn't even create a full goal in terms of the XG. Like, and that's at a time when we've twisted and gone for it after being 2-0 down as well. We're not capable of scoring goals. Is that on the manager? Is that on the players? Probably, being real, elements of both. Where you put that line of percentage, I don't know, but like the team has created significant amount of chances and the team has missed those chances. If you bring in any other manager, what do you want him to do? Create chances. Okay, well, we're already doing that. Okay. I want us to be conceding less goals than we were last year. Okay, we're kind of already doing that. We're certainly conceding less shots than we were last year. Although that might have changed today. I think they had over 20 today. That was reminiscent of what we saw last year. That's why today was so bad, because today was a throwback to last year. But all of the games up until today have not been. But people don't want to hear that nuance. People just want to go, no, don't say that. Just say fuck him off and bring in anyone. Okay, anyone sounds like Gareth Southgate to me. And I get in a cold sweat when I fucking think about the possibilities of that, because I believe that that's an option for us. And it makes me want to throw up.
Do you know when you talk about bring anyone in? And that is, I think, a lot of fans are at that point where it's like, we have to get rid of Ten Hag and we'll worry about who we replace him with later. Let's
great
say
strategy,
that,
by the way.
Yeah, great strategy. And obviously not one that Ineos can have if they want to run a football team successfully. If you were to look at the options available, do you literally go, we can't sack him because there isn't anyone? Or do you find the best of a bad bunch and bring them in? Because I look at someone, and it's not manager, it's strikers. But since Pep has been at City, he has brought in a starting number 9 who's going to be their new striker once. He's been there for 7 years, and Haaland is the only number 9 he's brought in because no one else did he think was good enough to do what he needed them to do. He's brought in Jesus as a backup to Aguero. He's tried around with other couple of players, but he's never gone big on a striker except Haaland. And Haaland scores 50 goals a season. Is it worth United sticking with what we've got, waiting for the right manager to come around like City did with Haaland? Or do you just go, this can't last, we can't keep dropping points, some performances have been decent, some have been awful, but we have to just make a change here? What do you think United will do and what should they do?
I don't think he gets sacked on the basis of today's game.
Okay.
I think he could lose his job in the next month, though. I think if you lose to both Porto and Aston Villa, I would be extremely surprised to see him in a dugout after that. If he wins one of them, it won't necessarily be safe, but I think you might see him again.
Yeah.
I think that I almost feel like every win gets him another round the table sort of thing. I think you lose both. If you lose both and the performances look like today, I don't think there's any chance that he sticks around. Who takes the reins? We've already discussed Ruud van Nistelrooy seems to be a lot of people's idea, possibly because he's in the picture. But then you're denying the fact that Ruud van Nistelrooy's got a hand in these performances. Yes, Erik ten Hag is the man in charge and he carries the can and he is ultimately the manager. Are you saying Ruud van Nistelrooy's got 0% to blame for any of the results and performances that we're in, but he's also the man to take us forward? Because those two things can't live on the same street, as far as I'm concerned. They don't compute. If you want to change the mood, you change the mood. If you think there's an issue with confidence or something like that and you want someone else to change the message, you don't bring the guy that sat next to the guy.
Yeah.
You bring in a different guy with a different accent. At least. You close your eyes, you might sound like the same guy. And at some point their messages will be fucking aligned, if not entirely aligned. Now, the other issue that I've got here is that Ineos, in the summer, supposedly did a root and branch evaluation and interviewed a shitload of managers and went, Baldy, you're the man. So how undermining of everybody, including Ineos themselves, is it if after 10 weeks of doing that, they went, actually, yeah, Tommy Tits, come on down. Or even worse, Gareth Southgate, come on down. They did an interview process where they looked into who the best guy was and they decided it was Erik ten Hag. That makes their decision-making look mental. Yeah,
it does. And that will be immediately questioned and brought up and analysed and sort of fingered by journalists when they want to undermine United generally. immediately, six Premier League games in, obviously I don't think he'll get sacked tonight, but you've sacked the man who you did an unprecedented level of sort of research into whether he was the right guy or not. I've never seen a club do what we did. You decided he was the right guy, and then you change your mind after 2 months. That itself raises a lot of questions, like you said, doesn't it? I mean, just on today, let's stick with today a little bit. Anyone on the pitch, did you think had a decent game?
No.
Yeah, he was good. How does that happen, do you think? How do performances like today happen?
I don't know.
No.
Like, United this season have played well and not won. I don't think we've lost when we've played well, to be fair.
I thought Brighton,
I think we've
maybe.
been unlucky.
We're
Even
amazing,
then, there was decent errors in there.
Yeah.
I think United have... we've had results that didn't reflect performance this season. That wasn't the case today. It was a roll back to what we saw last season. Now, I've been sort of tossing around the idea of, because I think that I almost want to just fucking delete today from the memory a little bit, Men in Black style. But on the whole, pretty happy with the back five.
Yeah.
The midfield and the attack. Oh, okay, let's start the attack. I haven't really got a lot more options than what's being played. They have to start scoring. That's not changed for fucking months, actually. They need to start scoring. We're creating enough to score at least a fucking goal, but we're not scoring a fucking goal. So then you look at the midfield. Okay, Ugarte is literally in the process of bedding in. We've had Christian Eriksen dropped in for a few games, pull out a load of tens, and then I think we also discussed it with him. There's no way he was playing 5 games on the bounce. No. It was never going to happen. So he finds himself back on the bench. I wouldn't have minded seeing Casemiro from the start today. I thought Ugarte, Casemiro. I actually thought Ugarte, Casemiro, Eriksen was what I wanted to see, but it was always going to be Bruno at the end of the day. Now, Bruno's been poor this season. Really poor. And he's found himself as this talking point and issue. And the reason he's found himself as a talking point and issue is because even though the forwards aren't scoring, they're playing. Like, there ain't anybody else. It's them that's playing. There's no one hiding in the wings. But with midfield, we've got like 4 or 5 different options and formations and little bits that we can do stuff with where we can try and get a different tune out of what we're putting out there. So you go back 5 defense, sweet. The attack, not sweet, but not a lot of options. So you go midfield, okay, well, we've seen Kobe doing all right this season, not quite hit the levels of last season just yet, but that's fine. Casemiro was a little bit poor, but he's come out of the team. He looked good when he had a bit of a cameo. Probably going to have that sort of relationship with him for the rest of the season. Ugarte obviously still bedding in. Eriksen has looked sensational. Mount, he comes in and then fucks off for 9 months. That's his game. But you think Bruno Fernandes is the constant. And the only thing that's been consistent about him is how consistently poor and wasteful he has been. So he's become this talking point. And he might actually be the biggest issue that United need to deal with. I think personally it's on par with the fucking lads in front of him need to start putting their chances away, all of them. But he's found himself as this issue that requires a solution.
Yeah.
Now, he's kind of given the manager a little bit of an out here because he's now going to have the opportunity. I think he's only going to get banned for 1 game, right? I don't think that's a 3-gamer.
I'm not sure. I think it could be 1, 2, or 3, I think. But yeah, I think maybe not 3 because I don't think it was reckless or dangerous. But I don't know. We'll have to see. Either way, so he's missing games.
There's a potential here. Well, I don't think 1 game would be enough to throw somebody in, see what happens, and then be like, oh, right, cool, yeah, that's how we're going to roll going forward. I think it probably needs to be 2 or 3 games and against possibly varied opposition for us to actually go, there is a potential of X, Y, or Z to happen here. But I almost think that that's what's got to happen because you're not going to see a different back 5 because you're just not. No. You're not going to see a different forward line because there's not exactly like you might see Højlund start over Xerxes. That's it. That's the only option that we've got. Whereas if you want to play that midfield, it doesn't have to be a 2 and a 1. It can be a 3. And there's actually not quite infinite options for that, but there are quite a lot of options and sort of like personnel options that we can try that might give us a bit of a different tune. Mm-hmm. And I think that is what the gaffer has got to do. And I almost think that now, we got into that stage last season. He did that interview with Gary Neville where he was like, listen, I'm trying to put a style of play into him, blah, 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 blah. And he was almost kind of saying, the results aren't as important as me trying to get them to play the way I want them to, and then all the results will kind of happen. Well, I think we're back to the FA Cup final, Joe. I think he has to start winning that cup final every single week. Otherwise, he's going to be watching United on Sky.
It's so deflating, though, isn't it? But I mean, I'm not saying that you can lose every week and hope that means we're going to start winning, because we could easily just keep losing every week. But it's a shame that every time we really try and go for it, we're getting exposed, and the 10-yard passing starts going awry, and the press of the opposition starts catching us out. And maybe that is a tactical weakness of Ten Hag's system, but it is such a shame. I don't even know. Looking, do you think that was a red card? Is the question I want to ask you. Just a quick yes or no. Do you think that should have been a red for Bruno?
No. But I don't know what impact it has on the game.
Yeah, I don't think we even looked that much worse when he went off, to be honest. They looked a little bit more stable, and I know we conceded too, but we went for it in the end. Yeah, just an absolutely horrendous day at the office. That, yeah, like you said, or like we said at the start, feels like it could be significant for Ten Hag, that one. And United have to see a turnaround in the next few games for anything, or for Ten Hag to basically still be here by Christmas. I think that today, losing and getting battered by Tottenham at home, those are the big ones.
When's the earliest they've sacked someone? Moyes was April, right?
Yeah, I think Jose and Ole was before
Jose
Christmas.
was Christmas, and Ole was Christmas about the same time. Louis was cup final.
Yeah, you tend to get sort of into October, November, but who knows with Ineos? Who knows what's going on? We'll just have to wait.
Well, that's it. We got no data, have we, on them so far?
Other than they were a bit chop and change at Nice, so. We'll see. We'll have to wait and see. But yeah, it's a much bigger job, and one that requires there's a lot fewer managers in the world who can manage Man United successfully than there are Nice. So let's hope that if they do decide to make a decision, there's one of them available. But we'll have to wait and see. Thank you, Steve. Unfortunately, in horrendous circumstances, for coming on. I thought United could be celebrating a pretty much needed victory there, but instead
How certain I was we was winning today.
Yeah, me too. I feel like everyone was. It just felt perfect. It felt right. You get Tottenham in, you do a little pass around the corner and you throw on goal, and United can start moving forward. And instead, it's probably the single most damaging result in Ten Hag's tenure at Man United. Horrendous. Right, thank you very much for coming on, Steve. Thank you for joining us at home. Get your thoughts in the comments below. We'll see you in a bit.
Wait. We've lost 7-0 to Liverpool, and you're right.
Yeah. It's not a worse result, but it's a more impactful result than that, I think.
Yeah.
Which is terrible. Yeah. See you later.